Yeah, I was just waiting for more people to show up. Yeah, sorry. I guess I'm just kind of like standing here doing nothing. Hi, so I'm Calder. I'm a past exec slash graduate from SJAM. So I just graduated this year. So I'm in my first term of computer science. Um, Today, it's a bit of a tradition if you guys don't already know. Usually past execs come back and like talk about university life for anyone who's interested. So I think, Christian, this is kind of like our version of that this year, since of all this coronavirus stuff can't come back in person.
Yep.
So today, I don't have like a strict plan of what I want to talk about, but I was thinking of more like a Q&A or something, because I don't want to talk about like random things that people aren't interested in. I'm curious what you guys want to hear about. So at least what I was thinking is that you guys send questions in the chat or something, and then I might talk about things based on that. So some examples might be like university life, like clubs and jobs in university, although I haven't started co-op, but I do have experience with like applying to jobs and stuff and working in tech, so I can talk about that too if you're interested in that kind of thing. I could talk about getting internships in high school. I could talk about applying to university. So there's a lot of options we can do. I can talk about projects too. It's kind of up to what you guys want to do.
I was gonna mention, should we be using probably the Google Meet chat to answer questions as well, or to ask questions? I think.
Can you prove epsilon delta in chat, please? Man, what are you talking about? Okay, listen. I'm gonna be honest with you. In university, our epsilon delta proof is really just like a bunch of words. I don't think there's a lot of math, from what I remember. They're just like, yeah, you choose a forever smaller epsilon based on some arbitrary delta, blah 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 blah. So I don't know what the like official mathy proof is, but they did it mostly with words.
Guys, do we think? Right.
On any tips? Because asked me a question in the chat. Okay. Okay, that's good though. You guys like start asking questions. Holy crap! There's 63 people here. Wow. Oh, 54. Wait, I got debated. It's 53. Okay. Yeah, Christian, you just let me know when we're gonna start, and I'll start talking.
Yeah, you could start. I think most of the people are probably here by now.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so one last introduction. My name is Calder White. I'm a past grad and also past exec of CS Club. I graduated just this year, so I'm in my first term of university. I'm actually about to finish my first term. So I do computer science co-op at the University of Waterloo, and today I'm just going to be talking about things you guys are curious about that pertains to working in tech, applying to university, life in university, that kind of realm. And I'm planning to go mostly based on what you guys are interested in. So that's my little blurb. It's the last time I'm going to say that. Yeah, so I'm going to start talking now, Kevin, if you're recording or whatever.
Of course, of course.
Okay. All right, so Kristen gave me the first question. Any tips on getting internships in high school? I'm really happy the SJAM has like a steady stream of people who do like internships in high school. I think that's really cool. So I think it changes every year because high school internships are getting more and more common. So when I did mine, it was still a little less common, but it wasn't unheard of. So I had to like go out and like talk to a company with connections I know people at. But nowadays, I would honestly say get involved in the community. There's a lot of great events like Hacker Nest, Startups in Beer. There's workshops for Shopify. I know they host internship workshops. And like, it doesn't matter if you're a high school student, like there's no repercussions for you just going to these things, you know? A lot of these things don't have like an age limit. Maybe Startups in Beer because you're drinking and stuff, but even then you can get in. And I know things are online, but I'm sure these people are doing in-person stuff. So I guess my message is the first thing you got to do is really get out there in the community, start talking to people, because like high school internships are becoming like a normal thing now. I know Shopify has an entirely separate internship program just for high school students, so you can try applying to that. And it's really important that you get out in the community. So, you know, go to the hackathons, talk to the recruiters. Yeah. One of my biggest regrets is actually like being too afraid to talk to people about, you know, stuff. Because like what I didn't understand is like people aren't going to hate you for life if you like apply to a job that's full time and you're like a high school student. Like right now, if you just like apply to, I don't know, some job at some tech company for a full-time position, they're not going to be like, oh, you suck, like you tricked me, you're a high school student. They're just going to move on with their lives. But in the event it goes well and they're like, oh, you're really good, all of a sudden you have like an in with that company, right? And then you can start talking to that person and see if you can work something out. So I think you should think about what would I do if I wasn't too afraid, you know, if I wasn't too afraid to talk to this person, to apply for this job or whatever. How do you get the time for that? I mean, it's a balance. But my academics weren't exactly top notch when I was in high school. Like they were okay. I had like a 90 average. But honestly, in grade 9 and 10, I was doing a lot of this stuff because your academics really don't matter in grade 9 and 10 at all. Like honestly, grade 11 marks certainly matter. And then grade 12 is basically grind time. So for me, I did a lot of this kind of stuff in grade 9 and 10. But honestly, I've seen friends do it in grade 11 and 12. So how do you get time for it? You just got to watch Netflix less, man. You got to, you know, if you're really into it, you know, instead of spending a little bit of time like watching a TV show or playing some video games, you can find time, like trust me. I think maybe in high school it's like hard to think about because in high school, like all you know is high school. But when you're in university, there's like way more, and you kind of see how much free time you had in high school. So I think you can find time for sure. You just have to be willing to sacrifice something for it. Next question. What are some of the things you need to have in the AIF form to increase your chances of getting TW? Okay, listen. I think there are a couple AIF questions. So I'm gonna talk about the AIF a little bit, and then I'm gonna probably not talk about it at all. And I will give my reason for that. The reason I will not talk about it at all after this time is because the AIF is literally a black box, which means that we have no idea what happens. We have the box, right, the black box, you put in your AIF and score comes out. We do not know what happens between the AIF and the score. And in fact, we don't even know what the score is. Like, I don't know what my AIF score is. I just know that I got into Waterloo. And that's the same with every other student at Waterloo. All we know is what the admissions officers tell us, and anyone else any of the professors who work in admissions. So it's really hard to tell you about like, you know, this is what you're supposed to write, because everyone's going to tell you like what worked for them, but we have no idea what was the reason Waterloo accepted them. Maybe they liked their grades a bit. Maybe they liked their AF a bit. Like, we don't know. So that's my little blurb. That's my little disclaimer about the AIF. But then in terms of like what you should write, my biggest advice, because this is what worked for me, right? So maybe it doesn't work for you. But it's honestly being human. Like it's humanizing your AF. You don't like make it like a robot. You know, like, oh, beep boop, you know, here's my resume. Like, actually talk about the things you care about, because one of the whole points of the AIF is to characterize students beyond like 6 numbers, right? Before that, the university only had 6 numbers and maybe like whichever high school you went to characterize students by. So your AIF gives you a chance to give yourself a little bit of personality. And University of Waterloo, I think, is really looking for kids who are more individual, they're more proactive. So talk about things that you took initiative to do, instead of saying, yeah, me and like 20 other kids in my CS class did this project. Talk about the one project you did in your own time, right? Or talk about the club that you really care about, instead of just giving them a resume, because that totally like defeats the purpose of the AF. So those are my 2 cents. And then everything with a grain of salt when you hear people give advice with the AAF, because we really don't know. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Especially if they school, it's not too bad to manage. What are some of the major tips? Do you need a master's in CS, or is a bachelor just enough? Bachelor. Do not listen. If you don't want to do research, I'm not going to go into a bunch of this. Literally, probably at least more than 70% of the high-paying workforce has a bachelor's degree. You don't need a master's, you don't need a PhD. It costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of time. That's time and money you could be spending on your career instead of a school. Is there a PhD you can get in CS? For sure, yeah, there's lots of PhDs, you can Google that. When's your first term co-op, and have you started searching for co-ops? I have started searching for co-ops, but not in Waterloo Works. I've done it outside of Waterloo Works. That's something that not a lot of people talk about. You can start searching for jobs when you're in high school, right? Obviously, they're not going to be posted, but my point is, like, once jobs are posted for your first work term in the World Wide Web, that's when you can start applying to them. So I already applied to a couple of jobs like a month ago, and my first work term is like 5 months from now. And then next term is when I'm going to be applying. So I'm in 1A, then I have 1B, and my first work term is after 1B. So next term I'll be applying through Waterloo Works. But yeah, I started looking right now. The earlier the better. That's a great question. Sorry if I skip over any questions. Is that where you go? Yeah, okay, in short, you tell you okay. How do you apply to jobs? LinkedIn, email? Have you talked to any math news editors? I have not talked to math news editors. I'm so sad. I gotta be honest. I was so sorry for the people who don't know what math is. Math news is. It's just a really funny student-run newspaper by U Waterloo. I used to read it when I went to the CEMC math circles, and I was so excited to read it when I got to Waterloo. But now everything's online, so I haven't really read it that much, even though I'm sure it's posted online. How do you apply to jobs? LinkedIn, email. Okay, so everyone's different, but I think the most common way people get jobs in high school is through connections. Really, it's through people that you know, because it's really hard to validate yourself without someone who knows you. So if you just get some random application from some high school student, you're probably going to throw it away. But if you get it from someone you know that's actually pretty good, all of a sudden it doesn't matter what age they are. It just matters that you know they're pretty good. People usually trust people they know themselves personally than over any resume. So that's where what I talked about with it being important to go out to community events, right? Talk to people, take initiative, don't be scared. That's what's really important, is because usually you're going to be getting those jobs through personal connections you make. Yeah, and you would be surprised by your advantage in numbers, because at least at your age, the amount of people who like want a software job, in high school is maybe like this many kids, right? The amount of people who are actually willing to go talk to someone is like this many. So already you're part of like the top like 3% of people just by being willing to talk to somebody about it, right? Not being scared to talk to somebody about it. So yeah, it's going to be through like your own networking channels. I haven't heard anyone who's just like randomly applied to a LinkedIn job or something and gotten an interview. They've all been through connections, and that's what's really important. You talk to a friend who has a job or something. It's different for everyone. Here's the thing. There are people in tech whose entire job is hiring people, is finding people who are good to hire. And so they're called recruiters, and they go to these events, right? They go to the meetups, and they go to the specific hiring events because they're on the lookout for people who have good talent, because they get paid based on how many people that have good talent get hired. So that's one way. That's one type of person you can speak to. You can speak to a recruiter at these events and get connected that way. Or you can speak to people who work there. And it doesn't have to be a friend. It can be someone you don't know, but you like start talking to them. So yeah, what events? I mentioned at the beginning, I said there's a couple that I know off the top of my head. One's called Hacker Nest, one's called Startups and Beer. And then I also mentioned the Shopify internship open houses. Lots of these companies do open houses where they just let a bunch of students come in. They usually have a bit of free food and have someone talk about, different Q&As about what internships are like at that company. And it's totally free. You just have to take the initiative to go to those events. So for example, I went to one of those because I went to Hack the North, and they were giving away like free hats. And then when you get the hat, I got invited by a recruiter to go to that event, and I just went. Even though it's like for university students, they're just like, yeah, come, it's cool. Like they don't care at Shopify. They just care that you're qualified. And so a lot of the other companies are maybe not that progressive, but they definitely have their own open houses and they have their own recruiters at the events. So if we look at like the chain there, right? Like I applied to Hack the North and got in. So that's like a piece of initiative, right? Hack the North is like a hackathon. That's one of the things I told you to do, go to hackathons, right? Then from that hackathon, I took initiative again to talk to someone from Shopify. It happens that she's a recruiter, right? I explained what a recruiter is. And then from there, I went to another event. And that's how you can get hooked up with these people, is you just gotta go to these things. You gotta take the initiative, because I guarantee you it depends. Like once you get into university, more people take initiative, but at this stage, like very few high schoolers are out there like talking to people, taking initiative. So you're already like top 1% by taking the initiative to talk to people. How strict is Mrs. Walker with form on tests? I mean, I don't know, like form is, everyone complains about form, but I'm gonna drop a truth bomb on you right now, okay? There's a pretty good chance you got the mark you deserved on Miss Walker's test, because if you lose marks on form, right, which is the way you format your answer, chances are you lost marks because you didn't have enough time to check it over, and you spent too long doing the actual math. At least I found that was me and my friends' experience. So you probably got the mark you deserve in terms of form and strictness on form. I know you didn't ask me like the specific question, but I feel like this is where it stems from, is like form in Miss Walker's class is it's one of the many things you have to learn. And if you practice like the actual math a lot and enough, then you'll have enough time to check over to make sure you have the correct form. So it's like, I think she's not outrageously strict or anything. Okay. Sim room, challenge room. Okay. Just follow her notes though. Yeah, follow. Okay, Walker's class is really specific because I feel like only like a small portion of the people here are gonna have Walker for math, but it's just like you just have to be dedicated. You gotta pay attention to the lessons. You gotta take your notes. You gotta do all the homework. Like I'm talking every question, and then you gotta check with her solutions to make sure you did it the right way, not just got the right answer, but you did it the right way. That's just what it takes to get a good mark in her class. Walker is the only calc teacher who's here? Dang! Wow. Walker's a good teacher. You might be mad that you have Walker. You might be displeased, but she's doing you a really big favor in the long run. I'll tell you right now. Walker prepares you so well for calculus and university. Taylor's teaching calc too. Okay. All right. I will wait for more questions. I talked a lot about getting jobs. Is the AAF unique to Waterloo? Waterloo started it. They're the ones who started it. U of T has like their own version of it, but it's extremely small and it is kind of insignificant. So yeah, what I think it might be safe to say it's unique to Waterloo at this point in time, but I'm sure many universities are going to have their own AFs pretty soon. Like U of T is building theirs up. How do you manage time in university? Okay. I mean, I think this differs from every person. For me, for me at least, I didn't have it wasn't super tight. So I didn't have to like time block every section of my day to working to a particular thing. I think other people like really planned it on a calendar. Some things I did were like marking due dates and stuff. So I have a really thorough Google Calendar of all of my due dates and all of like the exact times things are due, so that I know how I'm tracking towards all of the deadlines. And then from there, I really just like every day I work on things and make sure that I'm working on the thing that has the closest to deadline. So I'm never working on something that has like a farther deadline. I'm always working on what is the closest deadline, which gives me the most amount of time to work on all my stuff. So like my time management in university isn't super hardcore. So I guess I'm not the best person to ask about that. But yeah, I just have a calendar when I set it up. Talked about AIF, talked about time management university. How much time do profs usually give for assignments? Quite a bit. Especially in online school, you get like a whole week to work on your assignments in university usually. It varies from program to program, but at least for my program, which is computer science co-op, a lot of our assignments, we have an assignment every single week and we have a quiz every single week. And it's really good because it distributes your mark. What you usually don't want is like one big exam worth like 60% of your mark. And they did a good job with the first years in distributing it. And I think that's because we have online school. So we just have a lot of assignments, usually like a week. It's plenty of time. You have plenty of time. It's really up to you how much time you give yourself to finish that. Because even though you have an entire week, the first day the assignment comes out, it's on the weekend, right? So everyone's like having fun playing video games and stuff. And then it gets to like Monday and you're like, oh crap, like I gotta start working on my assignments. So it's really up to you, I think. Okay. Is university fun? Dude, I'm so glad someone asked that. University is so much fun. I want to tell this all to you right now. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, all right? Like university work, I would venture to say is at least like 3 times as fun as high school work. It's like a lot more creative. It's a lot more close to real world applications. So yeah, university is a lot of fun, and don't give up because you're gonna have a good time once you get to university. The courses are cool. I've been told by other uni students in Canada that you'll find time for things that actually matter to you. If this is not too personal, would you agree or disagree with that statement? You'll find the time for the things that matter to you. I'm gonna assume you mean like find the time for like looking for jobs and stuff and whatever. Yeah, I guess. I guess I agree with that statement. Yeah. Also, on average, how long every day do you work on uni homework? How would you say the CS workload stressful at all? No, I don't find it stressful, but there are some like asterisks to that. Like, I don't find it stressful because I have a lot of friends, and they all help me. So we're all helping each other learn the content and stuff, and that helps a lot because if I don't understand something, I have like 3 people I can talk to, right? And in terms of how much every day I spend on school, right now I'm not spending as much time at school because I have like a little break before my exams. But for the first like 3 months of my term, I was probably spending all day on school. And I had like a bit of free time at the end of the day and had free time on weekends. I don't know how many hours that is, like whatever, like 6 to 8 hours. I don't know. Roughly, how much free time do you get? Are you able to work on extracurriculars? Yeah, lots of extracurriculars. You have a good amount of free time in uni. It's just about what you choose to spend it on. Do you choose to spend it on like, I don't know, going out and getting food with people? Do you choose to spend it on side projects? Do you choose to spend it on fitness? You have free time. You can make things work. What are the tests like in university? How do you prepare study for them? Okay, so because everything's online, it's a little weird. The study and preparation, there's a lot less homework in university. I focus a lot more on understanding things than I focus on doing all the homework nowadays, because what I find is that high school is a lot of regurgitation, which is fine. Like that's a skill I think you need at least a little bit, but I really like that university is a lot more understanding. So as long as you understand the content, you will probably be okay for the assignment and test. So it's a lot less of just grinding out homework. It's a lot more of like making sure you understand the content, whether that be reading the textbook, going to the lectures, talking to TAs, or watching YouTube videos. How do you feel about not getting to SE? Not getting in? Bold of you to assume I applied. CS #1, baby. CS all the way. No, I'm just kidding. I did apply to SE, but I didn't get in. I don't think my average was high enough. There's a really high average cutoff. Like if you have below, I'd say like a 96, it's going to be really hard for you to get in. They just won't look at your application. Like there's like a certain average, and they're like, okay, anyone below that average, like we're not looking at them. CS was my first choice though, so SE was more of just a different route I was looking at taking. Do you think math contests like CSMC matter more than the CCC? Okay, this is like I don't know, because like the AIF is really it's really hard to figure out. What I will tell you is that if you get a really good score in the Euclid, UW cares a lot about that. So if you get like an 80 or above, they care quite a bit about that score. But they also care quite a bit about your CCC score. So I think CSMC Euclid matter a little bit more than CCC, but I would not remove from the value of the CCC. It's still a very important contest. But I will credit you with saying those are like the 3 main contests you have to do if you want to get into Waterloo. You got to do and I'd say you got to do one of CSMC or Euclid. You got to do the CCC. Not everyone does it. Like okay. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, I didn't do it. I got in. Like, okay, I get it. But a lot of people did the CCC, and a lot of people found that it helped them get in. Are you making any new friends with COVID and all? I'll be honest, not really. I'm not making too many new friends, and it really sucks. It's part of university that I was really excited for, and it's part of university that I'm not really experiencing right now. If you're doing CS, is SC harder than CS to get into? Yeah, I would say so. CS is also SE is also a much greater workload, and you have very low flexibility in your degree. What does that mean? In CS, I get like a bunch of electives. I get to choose the way I take my degree. So I can take it down like artificial intelligence. I can do like user interaction. I can do UI UX. I can do data science with a CS degree. SE, it's just software engineering. That's the only thing you can do. They just teach you the basics about software engineering because they have all this other stuff to teach you. They've got to teach you engineering principles. They've got to teach you physics, chemistry, like all these kinds of things. So SE is very limited in its potential for what you can choose to learn. It's all very prescribed. So my advice to you, if you're thinking about CS and SE, is to look on UGrad calendar, okay? I'll even type this in the chat right now, because this is something I don't think a lot of kids do. But all of your courses I'm just sending this in the chat. All of your courses are online. All the courses that you will take in your degree, you can view online. It's like, okay, this math course, this stat course, this CS course. You can see all the possible courses you can take in your degree. So you can see exactly what you'll be learning in CS versus SE. And you can see how many choices you'll have in CS and SE. So I would highly recommend that you go online and look at that if you're thinking about CS versus SE. How empty is UW campus right now? Pretty empty. Is it like a big change from high school to uni, or is it not a big change? I think it depends. I think it depends on how you approached high school. For me, with high school, I wasn't putting like 150% into my academics and stuff. I wasn't like killing myself to get the extreme like highest grade possible. And so the transition from high school to uni was not terrible. But I think I'm kind of quoting a teacher I had, Mr. Fish. I think he's no longer at SJAM. But yeah, if you're like killing yourself to get the highest grade possible to get into the best program possible at whatever university, I can guarantee you're going to be killing yourself to stay in that program once you get in. So for me, it wasn't that bad, but it really depends how you're doing in a high school right now. Yeah. Is it like a big change? Okay. Did you watch Inside Out? I did not watch Inside Out, but I've seen it. Okay, and it was pretty good. I've seen it before all the memes. It's not even a bad movie. Like, it's kind of a good movie. What are your biggest regrets so far during your university or high school experience? Regrets. Probably not going to as many tech events. Yeah. I mean, I think high school is okay. In grade 12, I was planning to have like a bunch of fun and like socialize a lot, and I started doing that in January and February, and then Corona hit. So all that kind of got taken away, but I can't call that a regret because I didn't know COVID was going to happen. So I don't regret any of my decisions, but that's just something I didn't plan for. But like definitely plan for having like some social time in high school, because it's just like you can't never go back to high school. So you gotta make time to have fun too. What kind of things do you need to know, understand for Hackathon? Nothing, just go. Okay, I know that was like a weird thing to say, but like with hackathons, people will teach you. Like I had a lot of friends who don't know anything. You'll just go to a hackathon. Like people are so nice. You go there and you just talk to a mentor or something, and they'll just like Christian can vouch. Like he didn't know anything about machine learning. He went to a hackathon. He said to like one of the mentors, like, "Hey, I want to learn machine learning." This guy just like spent hours teaching Christian how to do machine learning. Like you don't need to know anything for these hackathons. Just apply. Talk about things you're passionate about. Be like a human in your application, right? Don't just be like, here's my resume, here are my grades. But yeah, there's no prerequisite knowledge. It's a really great experience. Just go to them. There's lots of them. What's the difference between CS and SE? In the workplace, nothing. In a degree, SE has to meet certain engineering requirements for the degree. So they have to take a certain amount of courses, certain types of courses, whereas computer science is a lot more freedom for your electives and for your degree specialization. So you can get a minor and all this kind of stuff. So academics have a difference between CS and SE. And then after you graduate school, there's no difference at all. Tell us how Mr. Webb's program helped you. How advanced is it compared to what you do in uni? I haven't done any hardware in uni yet. but Mr. Webb's program is really great. I highly recommend it. Did it for 4 years. It was a lot of fun. It was good hire. It's just like you learn so much. For me, I had already done hardware and stuff, and I'd done a lot of coding, so I don't think I was learning some of this stuff for the first time. But like, just like perseverance that course teaches you. Okay, like you have to try so hard to make things work, and you have to really like keep at it. You have to. A lot of the time, I found I had to take time out of class. I was coming in at lunch breaks and stuff to work on my robots, and it was so good. It taught me a lot. Well, I think it will teach you a lot about perseverance. It'll teach you a lot about debugging and troubleshooting, which is extremely important. It's not something Mr. Chapman's going to teach you a lot about, but Mr. Webb will. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay, couldn't do the CCC this year. RIP. It's fine. You don't have to do the CCC. I just think it benefits you if you do it. So you have some more connection for interest-based studies. Yeah, that's one of the things. If you fail to get into a course, is it possible to reapply later and hopefully get in? Yeah, yep, 100%. What other unis did you apply to in grade 12? Okay, I'll just go down my ranking since you're curious. My number 1 choice was computer science at Waterloo. My number 2 choice was software engineering at Waterloo. Number 3, computer science at U of T. Number 4, computer science at McMaster. And number 5, computer science at U of G. And I got into everything except for SE at Waterloo. Be careful with your rankings, by the way, because the universities do care where you rank them. Even though sometimes Waterloo says they don't care, I've heard from professors that they do care. CCC at home? Oh my God, dude. Stack Overflow is going to be working overtime. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Please. Okay. Sorry, I was really behind in the questions, but I think I'm up now. I'm up to speed now. Okay, there are no more questions. Yeah, feel free to ask more questions now. These are really good. Thanks, everyone. This was a great turnout today. 67 people. Wow. Keegan asked why take SE over CS. Okay, I see. Well, why take SE over CS? I mean, that's tricky because you're asking a CS student, so I'm obviously biased towards CS. Here's some things that SE has that CS doesn't. SE has what's called a cohort. So every single year you go through school, and every term, you're going to have the same number of people. You're going to have a common class of people. Whereas in CS, it can be all different. So if based on what courses I take, that dictates which people are going to be in my classes. So that's something I really wish I had, but I don't, is that next term, I'm going to have all different people in my classes. So SE has definitely got a far more tight-knit community. And then also, I think a lot of people choose it for prestige, I think, because there's only 125 spots. At least, I don't know about this year, but in the past, there's been 125 spots for SE. And so that makes it super competitive because thousands of people apply to it. So some people think, the prestige will benefit them in some way. Yeah. But I vouch for CS. I would take CS, but that's why you might take SE over CS. Also, engineer. If you want to be an engineer, you can take SE because then you'll get an engineering degree, and then maybe you can get your PEng. But a lot of people don't because the PEng takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a lot of people just don't use it for software. Okay. What clubs are you involved in at the university? So if you mentioned before, clubs and extracurriculars, I I'm in like a stock club, which is really just like a Discord. Clubs are kind of janky right now because of all the online stuff. I'm kind of in the CS club, but I've yet to become an official member because of issues with my Watt card. Yeah, so those are the kind of two clubs I'm in / extracurriculars, but it's really janky because everything's online. How do you find events for connections? Just go to hackathons, talk to people. I think you can ask like, sorry, I know that was like a really curt answer, but I've talked about it before. And if you have more questions about that kind of stuff, you can talk to like Christian or like I think like Kevin Gao or like Eric Xiao. Like those people definitely know events you can go to, and you can talk to them if you want to follow up. What did you do during the summer between grade 12 and university? Did you study a lot or prepare for university, or did you relax and chill? Do you have any regrets? The plan was to relax and chill, but then COVID happened, so I worked full time at a tech company. I try not to mention this a lot because everyone makes fun of me because everyone's like, "Oh, Calder, you always talk about it." So now I like try to never talk about it. But I started working at a company called SJAM in grade 10. And I worked there until the summer before university in grade 12. They're a tech company in Waterloo. Got like about 100 people, but their numbers might have fluctuated since then. And they work in video, so they do quality of experience. They do algorithms to like check video quality like a human eye does. So I worked there for 2 years. And that summer, that was my third summer working for them. And then I worked part-time in high school for 2 years. And I don't have regrets about that. That was good. But I still got out a lot this summer. And I think that's really important to have fun and to have free time in the end of grade 12, like after you've done all your uni work. Because it's something I think all of you deserve, and you really need to give it to yourself because you can't go back to high school and get that free time. CS individual, or is it more of a collaboration with people and etc.? I mean, it depends. I think you'll have a great peer group. Something I found with SJAM is a lot of SJAM kids go into computer science, so you'll probably have lots of peers. How many spots in there for CS? I don't know, like 400. SE requires you to take all the required engineering courses, but CS doesn't. Yep, I mentioned that. What averages are safe for CS? Oh man, I'm not going down this rabbit hole of the like, will I get into university or not? But just a rough range. You probably want to have a 90 or above average. 95 is ideal, but between 90 and 95 is where you want to be if you're trying to get into computer science at Waterloo. But if you want to be on the safe side, I would say aim for a 95 average. But if you have like a 91, 92, lots of kids got in with a 91, 92 average that I know.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. What is the difference between computer engineering and computer science? Computer engineering has a lot more hardware, a lot more signal processing. You can Google what that means. Yeah, and also it's an engineering degree, so you got to take all your engineering requirements, physics, chemistry, engineering principles, design, all that kind of stuff. How many people who pursue CS in an undergrad do something that isn't really software-related after graduate? Not a lot. Sorry to say. A lot of software kids in CS, a lot of people doing software. It's just because that's where the demand is in the industry, and that's where the market is. So if you want to do hardware stuff, it's a lot harder to get co-ops, it's a lot harder to get jobs. It's something you got to be really passionate about if you're looking to do. Tech Plus, he was bumping Tech Plus. Yeah, okay, cool. What was the tech company? SJAM. Yep. I can talk about SJAM more if you guys are interested, but I just want to avoid like droning on about myself. You'll be fine with a 100% average. Keegan's right. 225% average. Okay. Ooh, yeah, Wilfred Laurier. Okay, honestly, highly underrated backup choice. The CSBBA from the Laurier side at CS. I know a lot of my friends use it as a backup, And I had no idea, but it like you can't tell on a resume. It just says like double degrees, Laurier and Waterloo. So no one knows you got them from the Laurier side. It's a lot less competitive. Do you know anyone going to CS? CS going into research? Not off the top of my head, but I know I know a couple people in CS who have done research. Yeah. So, let me know if you want to hear more about SimWave, by the way, if anyone's interested. Did you apply for any scholarships? What resources were most helpful for seeking financial aid? Scholarships I applied for. I applied to the UFT scholarships and stuff because they have a separate scholarship application for UFT. But I didn't apply to too many scholarships. I wouldn't be the person to ask on that. Funny enough, I know Hema actually. I know Hema applied to a lot of scholarships. You could ask her separately or something. Just a note, I'm pretty sure that you made it. They've made it clear that you can't transfer into Waterloo. Yeah, you can't transfer, but you get the same education opportunities as the Waterloo students. But yeah, Hema's, that's a good disclaimer to make. Oh yeah, except for co-op. If you go back in time, ooh, that question. Oh, Kevin, I hope you're recording the chat too, because I'm not reciting all these questions. Sorry. If you could go back in time, what's one tip you would give yourself in high school? My dad would always tell people to tell us to ask university students this question when he would take us to like university events. I know Christian mentioned my blog post. When I talked about him taking us to the capstones, he would like make us go up and ask these people and say, excuse me, what could you tell yourself in high school? Which is like the most uncomfortable because, you know, I was like pretty young. So I was like really nervous about talking to people, but it's a good thing to do. What would I tell myself in high school? I don't know. I think it's going to be different than what a lot of people would tell themselves, because I think a lot of people would tell themselves like, oh, you should learn to code a little bit, or you should taken more initiative. But like, I was coding too much in high school. I'll be honest. I was coding a lot. Things I want to do more in high school, probably like, I don't know, practice volleyball or something. Because I did it for like 1 year, but then I didn't make the team. But it was like so much fun that 1 year. I kind of wish I had practiced volleyball over the summer or something, so I could do more volleyball. I know that's like really weird, but like my what I would tell myself would be really different than like what I think a lot of people will tell themselves. Yeah. Courses do I have? I have a course in algebra. I have a course in calculus. I have a course in Chinese. I have a course in communications, and I have a course in CS, computer science. The algebra course is really just like proofs. So everything that entails, it's really cool. It's basically like learning how people actually do math in the real world. Nice Chinese, seriously. Are universities looking for a variety of extracurriculars, or more that are focused towards what you're passionate about? One thing I've heard is that the university is looking for commitment. So they're looking for you to do the same extracurricular 4 years in a row and for you to build on your previous experiences. So they don't want you to do 6 different extracurriculars. They want you to do like a handful of them that you're really passionate about, and they want you to do them consecutive years to show that you are committed to them. Because the university wants you to have that same commitment when you're in university. That's kind of the methodology there. Yeah, leadership's a good quality. Commitment and leadership, yeah. If you play for a sport, yeah. Waterloo has lots of intramural teams, and they have varsity teams. I can't do any of that stuff because of quarantine and all that stuff and coronavirus, but that's something I was really excited for when I applied to Waterloo, and that's something I'm really excited for when things open up again in Canada. Our varsity team's hard to get into. It really depends on which varsity team you want to get into and what your skill level is. I only know one person on a varsity team, and that's Joseph Liu. And the thing is, Joseph is like #1 in Canada right now for his age group for either doubles or singles. So that's not a great measure, right? Joseph's like the best there is. So of course he got into the UW varsity team. So I don't know. I don't know a lot about varsity and that stuff. You could ask Joseph though. Actually, no, sorry. Why did I say that? You guys don't know Joseph. Joseph's really good. So I don't know a lot about varsity, and I think Joseph's a bit of a outlier case because he's like very talented. He has spent like thousands of hours playing badminton. So I don't know. I'm just looking for. Are UW dorms closed right now? They are not closed, and boy, oh boy, are the kids in those dorms getting COVID right now. I am glad I am not in a UW dorm right now because the situation's pretty bad. What are some of the biggest changes in transitioning between high school and university? Shout out to Sarah for feeding me these good questions. Thank you very much, Sarah. What are some of the biggest changes in transitioning? Things are self-motivated when you're in university. No one's going to tell you to do anything. Yeah, and one of the things I mentioned earlier, which I've been talking for an hour now, so maybe it's been a while ago. But it's self-motivated, but it's also much more understanding-based. It's a lot less of grinding out questions, memorizing form. It's a lot more of truly understanding the content and applying your knowledge, because for a lot of these things, there isn't like a homework question you can go back and compare it to. Like obviously, they'll reward you a little bit for reading the textbook and doing some questions. But in terms of the whole thing, the entire test will not be taken from the homework and things. Like there will be questions that you will have never seen before, and it's important that you understand the content so that you can answer those kinds of questions. Do you know how communities hours will be working? Nope, do not know. Do you think your grade 12 teachers prepared you well for uni? Ooh. All right, I'm not gonna say anything bad about my grade 12 teachers. I think they did a fantastic job preparing me. I think it's not just the teachers though. I think we have to think about the curriculum, right? They have things that they're told that they have to teach, right? So there are skills that they had to teach us, and then I think they did a great job of teaching us. But some teachers that I will note that did a really great job of going out of their way to make the transition better from university, from high school to university. Mrs. Walker, she did a really great job. She checks like what the UW curriculum is, and she adjusts her own curriculum so that it's a good transition. Mr. Shotman does a really great job. His CS curriculum is extremely advanced compared to other schools in Ontario, and it will definitely prepare you very well for university. And that's all I can really speak to because I'm in like a math degree, so it's just like CS and math. So I think, yeah, Ms. Walker did a really great job. Mr. Shamet did an excellent job. Yeah. How are the math courses, if you have any right now? Yeah, 2 math courses, proofs, which is called algebra, and calculus. Calculus is really not too bad because I had Walker for calculus, and she does an excellent job preparing us. And then proofs is also not too bad because I think I benefit a little bit because I did contests and stuff in high school. I wasn't good at them. I'll tell you right now, like I got really low scores on the contests, but it's just the practice of doing math on your own free time and thinking about things for yourself really helps you with those courses. So yeah, the proofs course is like actually kind of fun too because you get to see what math is like in the real world. And so that's really cool to me. And then calculus is honestly just a bit of a chore because Walker prepared us so well that like we actually are relearning stuff in this university calculus course. So go Walker. The 2 PhDs. Yeah. Are you on Calc 2 or Calc 3? I have no idea what Calc 2 and 3 are. I'm sorry. I think we're on Calc 1 though, or something. I don't know. Well, I think like we haven't really done integrals yet. We've done derivatives, but we've done antiderivatives like a little bit, teensy bit, and we've done like a little bit of limits. Calc 3 is multivariate. Yeah, we're not on Calc 3. We haven't done partial differentials. We haven't done differential equations. Yeah, so. But I don't know. I still have to do a little bit of the content for calculus, so I'm not totally done the course yet. Yeah, we haven't done vectors yet either, which is like interesting because you think vectors is like pretty basic. Yeah. Is it possible to recover your grades? I don't know what recover your grades means. You can apply again to programs. I know a girl who applied to programs in her grade 12 year, and then she took a 13. She came for an extra year, 5th year, and then she got into Waterloo just this year. So it's definitely possible if you don't get accepted the first time to get accepted the second time. But it really depends. Like if you retake courses, UW will heavily penalize you for that. And generally, UW gets more competitive as years go on. So if we think about it as like a curve or whatever, it's advantageous to apply to UW as soon as possible. At least that's my opinion. Sorry if that's like not very hand-holdy. It's just the way I see it. How do you prepare for the test in uni if you might get questions that you have never seen before? By understanding the content. It's something we don't do a lot in high school, eh? Sorry, no shade. But it's like if you understand the content, then you're gonna be fine. You go through the lectures, you do some practice problems, see if you understand things. And also tests have, it depends which course you're in. Tests have reduced importance in university. There's lots of assignments too, so you'll be able to munch on those for a while. Like for example, my proofs class, which is really what I'm talking about when I say things you've never seen before. I'm talking about my proofs class. They give you these assignments for like a week, so you have time to check different theorems and proofs and things and talk to your friends. What would you think the biggest aspect of university has been affected by the pandemic? Social things, I believe, 100%. The social aspect of university is basically 0 for me, and it really stinks. And I don't like it. I want to meet new people. What mark do I need to be? Oh, come on. This isn't the UW Reddit mega thread. What mark do I need to be secured for CS and Waterloo? There's no mark that will secure your spot. Kids can get rejected with 100%. Kids can get accepted with an 80%. Just the mark, sorry, something messaged me. Just the marks alone, not enough to tell. It's really about the applicant as an individual. Every year, Waterloo plays more and more attention to the individual rather than the marks. And I think that's because Waterloo has seen that students are more successful when they pay attention to them as a person rather than to them as a set of numbers. So what kind of mark? As I said, 90 to 95 is preferable. 95 is a great average to apply with, but honestly, focus on yourself as a person quite a bit too. You should obviously be aiming for the highest average possible, but no average will secure you. Lots of people get rejected with 100 averages. I'll tell you that right now. Not SJAM students. SJAM students with 100 averages often get accepted. I'm talking about other schools. Is 97% a good average in math or not? Is this a UW mega thread or something? I'm just kidding. Sorry. 97 is great. Good job. Do you get to know the other people in the classes? I do not, because it's all online, and I'm kind of sad about that. I'll have to be honest. Do you just like doing uni and internship co-op work at home? Do you really want to go back on site? Nah, doing uni from home rules. I can do all the content whenever I want, how I want. I can do it in my bed. It's great. I love it. Jobs, working from home is cool with SIMWAVE, but I would really like to go to like one of those cool offices, you know, with whatever, like Google, Facebook, Airbnb, like all those kind of companies have really cool offices. So that would have been cool to go on site for this job. So I'll probably be working from home for there too. The only reason I enjoyed working from home with SIMWAVE is because I'd worked there for like 2 years, so I'd already been in the office quite a bit. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up pretty soon. So I might take a few more questions, and then I'll wrap up since you have all stayed for quite a while. That's great. Yeah, I'll leave like a couple of minutes for final questions, and then I'll wrap it up. What is the difficulty change from going online in university? Difficult change. I don't know. Going online was not too bad, but it was not too bad because I think I am a very self-motivated learner, and I know a lot of people who have to be told to do things had a lot of trouble because no one's going to tell you to do anything when it's online. There's some questions above. How did I miss these? Sorry. What are some tips on staying motivated and focused at home? What motivated me was seeing friends a lot. I would usually do my work before I went to go have fun and stuff, and that motivated me quite a bit. Can you tell us more about your job? What we should expect going into something similar? All right. Are you still close with some of your high school friends? I'll leave the SIMWAVE thing to the end because I'll do a little blurb about that. Energy management tips: sleep a lot, work out. When you're active, your brain is active. It's not fake science. It's real. You have to walk around. You have to maybe lift weights. You have to run a little bit or something, and it really helps your energy because your body stops hibernating. It's like, oh, okay, let's do stuff now. Are you still close with some of your high school friends? I'm still close with all of my high school friends, mostly because we're all in like math together and everything's online. Okay, I'll finish off talking about my job, no further questions, and then I'll wrap it up. So SIMWAVE was cool. I already spoke a little bit about SIMWAVE. I worked there in grade 10. I did a 1-month unpaid co-op for them. It was through like the high school co-op thing, so I got school credit, which is great because I would have had to take like a psychology course or something, and I was really not looking forward to that. So that was really cool. I get to fulfill my group 1 credit. That's something people don't know about co-op, is that it fulfills any group you want in your requirements. So if you don't want to take like a certain art group or something, just take a summer co-op. It's a great experience. Also, I would highly recommend you take summer. I discourage you from taking co-op during the school year because you can't work like it's a real job. You have to go to school and then work, and it doesn't work in my opinion. So summer co-op's the only way to do co-op in my opinion. Anyways, I digress. Did the summer co-op 1 month. Summer co-op's great. You should really do it. Great experience. But you have to take initiative. You can't they're not going to give you these cool tech jobs. Like, they're going to let you, the best job they can give you at summer co-op is working IT at UW. So if you want to get like a cool job, you gotta go out there and get it yourself. Worked there 1 month unpaid. They kept me on for the second month, so I worked the whole summer. Half of it was unpaid, and then the second month was like I was grinding, man. I was just, oh my god, I was working too hard. Every day I was just working really hard, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, a lot of stuff I had to learn. I was working in like data streaming, which is like exactly what it sounds like. It's just moving data from one place to the other really quickly and getting everyone the data they need at the times they need it, which sounds simple until you're doing like petabytes of data per second and things like that. And so what happened basically is when I got there at SimWave for the 1 month co-op, they gave me like a project. They were like, okay, do this task. And then within like an hour, I was like, okay, I'm done that task. Give me the next task. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they gave me like a bigger task, right? And then the next day, I was like, okay, I'm done that. What's the next task? And they gave me a bigger task, right? And I spent a week on that, finished that, right? I was just working as hard as I could to prove myself to them. And they were gradually giving me more and more complex work based on what they knew I could do. And then by the second week, I was on a team because I like kind of proven myself to them. And so then I was working on that data streaming team for the last 3 weeks of the unpaid high school co-op. And then the team was the boss of that team was like, yeah, we need the extra help and you're really good. Do you want to stay on? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Please put the word in for me. He's like, I will. So we talked to the necessary people, stayed on, helped them for the second month. And then it's kind of history from there because then I helped them through the school year. But the way it worked is like I couldn't really work part-time on the data streaming team because it was too product focused, which is something I loved, but it's not something that works when you're doing like really low hours. So I moved to the DevOps team, which is kind of like working on internal tooling, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and then you also work on a little bit of like server stuff and provisioning and all that kind of stuff. And so I switched on the DevOps team, and that's what I did for the rest of my time at SimWave. So then I worked part-time, and then I worked full-time for the summer. And so it was like grade 10 summer, data streaming, and then part-time through grade 11, full-time summer, grade 11, part-time grade 12, but then I reduced my hours. So I was not making a lot of money, but I was like staying in the loop, so that I still knew what was going on in the company. And then in that summer, I worked on DevOps again. And then each summer on DevOps, I took on like a big project that I basically headed myself. And I worked with a lot of people on them to get something done over the summer full time. So that's kind of what my work was like at SimWave, because I know you asked specifically about what the work was like. Yeah, DevOps is pretty, Christian's right. DevOps is pretty common. It's because DevOps is a job that you can do part-time quite easily. At least that's my opinion. And it's also sometimes not too product-centric, which is not what you want. Like during the summers, I was really product-centric because that's the cool stuff, that's the hard stuff. But DevOps is really good for the school year because it's not. Sometimes there are a lot of jobs that you can do that aren't critical systems, and also it's easy to do remote part-time. So yeah, DevOps was good, but I was definitely most passionate about my time working on product. Okay, some co-ops, security take co-op. Co-ops are, yeah, he was right. Co-ops are a great benefit, but you don't have to take them. Would it be a good idea to spend co-op money on rent? I think that's for you to decide. Do you know what adjustment factor is? I know it's not bad. That's what I know. I know, and I also know that the admissions office at UW specifically values SJAM. For example, like when SJAM messed up their submission dates, UW held things up and accommodated SJAM because they knew SJAM would provide them with a lot of good students. So you don't have to worry about your grades with SJAM. SJAM has a great adjustment factor. They have great students, or average adjustment factor, whatever. They have great students. So you can just focus. SJAM's a school where you can just focus on doing the best at school and doing what you're passionate about that you think is good for the university. Yeah, wasn't just my factor. Read my blog. It's in the CS chat. Yeah, okay. Can we call back another meeting for a steganography lesson? Oh, that's fun. Maybe, yeah. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have for today. Lots of great questions. Thank you so much for coming out. I wish you all luck. It seems like there were a lot of university questions, and that's great because that's what I can tell you about. I think Sophia asked a good question at the end there, which is about the SJAM and things. I think SJAM. What I want to close with is that SJAM is a great school, and you guys are all in a great position to do what you want to do. You got lots of great peers, and all you need to focus on right now is just getting really good marks and staying with your game plan with extracurriculars AIF. So I've been talking for an hour. My throat's sore. I don't have any water. But yeah, SJAM's great school. I think you're in a great spot, and if you just take initiative and keep doing what you're doing, it'll be great for university. And for those of you who aren't applying this year, take initiative. You got so many opportunities ahead of you. So I think that's what I'll close on, and thanks everyone for coming out.
Yep, thanks so much, Calder, for coming out and giving us your wisdom.
Well, I'm flattered. Your wisdom. Wow.
Yeah, it was quite the meeting. I hope everyone enjoyed your presence.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
A recording will be up, by the way, on YouTube within a few hours, and attendance has been taken, so don't gotta worry about that.
That's great.
Don't forget to like and subscribe the YouTube video.
Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notification. You guys know about our weekly upload schedule.
Subscribe to Calder's Medium channel.
Yeah, subscribe to my Medium,
also,
guys. Follow me on Medium. Let me get clout.
make sure you guys check out
Nice.
Calder's new article that he wrote on Medium about the UW application.
Yeah, thanks, guys.